Welcome, welcome. Is it over? Is the Trump deception officially over? We're going to be talking about it in this video, and I've got some clips to share with you. I hope that's all plugged in there and ready to roll. And we're going to dive deep and see what's up. And now, of course, I always want your input. I'm a human being. I make mistakes all the time. I could be wrong on all these things, but let's talk about it. Is the Trump deception officially over? I've got a bunch of clips here to share. Let's start with Ryan Stewman. He is AKA the Hardcore Closer. I thought this video was fantastic. Here we go.
Man, it sure sucks that I'm making this real, but it is what it is. So apparently yesterday, the Trump administration, the FBI, the Department of Justice, all the motherfuckers just came out and said, you've all been fed a lie and there's nothing to believe. And Epstein definitely hung himself and there's no client list. And so this guy was apparently blackmailing everybody, but he didn't keep a client list. There's no list. We're not going to see any pictures. We're not going to find out what went on at his island. They just say, case closed, shut the fuck up. But here's the problem with that. Less than a month ago, Elon Musk said Trump was on the Epstein list. Y'all remember that, right? Right? Trump is on the Epstein list. He literally posted that shit on X. And the whole reason one of the main reasons we elected Trump is he promised the Epstein files and the JFK files released on day one. And if you remember, guys, he gave it to those cosplay MAGA fuck-ups, DC Drano and the typical liberal and a bunch of these fuckers that just Israel ass-sucking motherfuckers. And he gave them plays, he gave them these folders that might as well have had the Book of Mormon, the playbill inside of them because they were fake. And those guys sold it to you and I like, we got the Epstein files. Here we
Remember
are
that?
3 months later, and they're like, you know what? Fuck you guys. Epstein wasn't even a bad dude and just... But look, man, we voted for Trump because obviously it was a better decision than Kamala. But we really need to apologize to the Democrats because we told all the Democrats that our guy was different. Our guy was going to put an end to the swamp, and our guy was going to be, he was going to stop all these wars. He was going to be anti-Israel terrorist. He was going to be all of these things, the Epstein list, the JFK list. You know what I think? I think Trump's awfully friendly with Benjamin Netanyahu, probably the worst human being to live on this planet in all of history, including the Australian painter. Bibi Netanyahu is worse, way worse. And I say this, the Austrian painter, not the Australian, sorry. I say this because Trump's having dinner with him tonight at the White House. And now all of a sudden the Epstein files don't exist. JFK files were redacted. Trump's on the list. By the way, Israel's bombed 7 countries in the last 6 months. And so it's safe to say that Zion Dawn, I'll leave it at that. But we got fucked again. We got fucked by a Patel, we got fucked by a Bondi, and we were lied to by a man named Trump. And you know what? You can say, well, Stewman, chill out. Maybe it gets better than this. Nah, man. 2 different wings, same bird.
He did not pull any punches there. I saw that the other day, maybe about a week or so old. I think he speaks for a lot of people. I know, I kind of woke up, I woke up before the election. I didn't vote for either of those clowns. And I got a little flack from it, from some people when I said I'm not voting for either one of them. Because once I realized that, say it like he said, 2 wings, same bird. I'm like, oh, I got you. I just pulled back and I'm like, I didn't want to be part of the bullshit anymore. And I realized, oh, you people are all working for the same people, right? The same money changers behind the scenes pulling the strings, and everything is a rich man's trick. That documentary, that's why I include that documentary in the Great Awakening Guide at greatawakeningguide.com. It's one of the 3 that I recommend as a quick start guide, which is All Wars Are Bankers' Wars. That's an hour long on YouTube. Everything is a Rich Man's Trick. That is 3 hours long on YouTube. And The Mystery of Israel at stopworldcontrol.com/Israel. But I call everything a rich man's trick now because money runs this world. 2 right-wing capitalist parties neither fights for the working people. No, they don't. No, they don't. To that point, I shared a video of a guy talking about why the Democratic Party, it's in the Hot Topic series. It's why the Democratic Party isn't helping humanity, isn't helping humanity in America, but more importantly, isn't fighting for human rights in other countries. I mean, they just turn a blind eye because he said the empire of America has to export. It exports the labor, I think is what his statement was, and we exploit other countries and other people to make America look like it's prospering. It's bullshit. You're right. That is true. I do believe that. It's like one big machine. They give the illusion of difference, but at the core of the machine, it's rob and rape and pillage and plunder all over the world. And to the degree they can see, they're starting to come home to roost. And that's why you're seeing people at the lower end of the socioeconomic strata the water levels rising, and it's starting to gobble them up. And the machine is starting to churn through Americans. And I don't make any qualms about it. This is why I started waking up. I mean, when your government comes at you and says, hey, you're not taking the medicine we made you, and you're not trusting the pharmaceutical companies, I'm like, no, I'm not. And the thing that woke me up really is when Joe Biden said our patience is wearing thin. The whole game changed in my mind because I looked at it as an aggression of my government, who I know to be corrupt and or incompetent. And I was like, oh shit, new game. All right. That's Ryan Stewman. You can follow him at Hardcore Closer. I loved it. Again, I kind of had an inclination before the election. That he wasn't on my team because I made a list of pros and cons. List of pros that he's for humanity, list of pros that he's working for the ruling class, the elite. And the list that he's working for the elite just outweighed the other. Miriam Adelson gave him $100 million. The APAC gave him like $230 million. Who does he work for? Well, he works for the people who give him the money. Who do we work for? We work for people who give us the money. He made a couple of, I think, strategic concessions in his first term, like telling the WEF to shove it, for giving the loans to historic Black colleges. Those were two big ones. But this is the thing that I think about all the time is those are small in comparison to giving power to bad people, right? To giving power to dropping bombs on, facilitating the. Now, I know Biden was in when the bombs started dropping, but again, two wings, same. This is why many of the Democrats are waking up too, going, hey, Biden, why didn't you stop? Why didn't you stop it? If you're for human rights and people, why didn't you stop it? And because he can't stop it. He works for the money changers, and the money changers have an agenda. It's all about business. It's not personal. It's just business. You know who I found a high degree of respect for recently, and that's Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter, I didn't even know this back in the day, but he was speaking out about the injustices in Palestine 30, 40 years ago. It's insane. Amy Goodman from Democracy Now! Again, I never followed her before or that channel before, but I do now. She's a solid gold gem. Been doing basically like good work for decades, exposing corruption and lies in our world from a nonpartisan standpoint. By the way, too, she exposed what Bill Clinton did in Haiti, the robbing and plundering and pillaging of Haiti, saying, oh yeah, we're going to we're going to give the Haitians rice so that they can, quote, not worry about farming and come into the modern era and have all those benefits. Anyone with a brain realizes that's a scam. It's a bullshit scam. And he even says it in the speech. He says it may have been good for my farmers in Arkansas, but it's destroyed the Haitian rice market and the economy, in general, because it wiped out if the farmers don't have any reason to grow rice, think about all the tangential businesses that are around that. This is how dumb government is. And they expect us to believe, well, they're really not dumb. I used to think they were incompetent. Now I realize they're very competent. They're just competent in making themselves money. Nonpartisan, Democracy Now! And nonpartisan do not belong in the same sentence. Okay, let me wrap my mind around your comment. Nonpartisan. Well, I mean, that's my opinion. That's what I see. I mean, when she is, exposing the crimes in Iraq, especially if she's exposing Clinton. I always thought Democracy Now, democracy talk about, having a tainted connotation. I always thought Democracy Now was a left-leaning news channel. But when she's promoting or exposing Bill Clinton's crimes in Haiti, to which he apologized for. I mean, I don't know how you make amends for destroying a nation's economy and putting many people out of work and or making them homeless. I don't know how you can apologize for that, but he did it. They do it all the time. Bill Clinton, incidentally, also apologized twice for crimes that the U.S. government did to people. One for Tuskegee residents and one for radiation experiments. So he's made a lot of mistakes. This is why I really question people trust in their government in the United States of America, because they've hurt a lot of people for a long time. But back to your point, I feel they are. Anyway, let's jump into another video and or talking point here. Okay, so Hardcore Closer says what we're all thinking. Let's recap. No JFK files. No Epstein files. Bombing of Iran. That's the big one that I think woke a lot of people up. People don't want any more wars. People don't want the U.S. dropping bombs for whatever reason. They know the military-industrial complex. By now, most people know the military-industrial complex is a total shit show, is completely out of control, and we may be past the point of no return. I don't know. Heavy Trump derangement syndrome here. Okay, that's fair. I'm assuming you meaning I have heavy Trump derangement syndrome. That's fair. You're entitled to your opinion. I used to believe in that guy, and I'll tell you why. When he came on the scene with his PR machine of, I'm not a politician, I'm a businessman, and I'm here to help clean up the country. I bought it. Hook, line, and sinker, because I do not like career politicians. 50-year career politicians, you can name them, you know who they are. I'm over it. I think it's BS. I'm going to drain the swamp. I'm going to drain the swamp. I love that. But none of it happened. I think Trump is on the list, right? Let's see. Didn't the dude who came up, TDS, Trump on the list? I have the original Epstein file for real. You do? That's good. I think it probably is out there. I mean, I'm sure some people have it. Schumer, McConnell, et cetera, agree. Yeah. I bought it. I bought it in the first term, 2016 to 2020. In 2020, I was super bummed out. The Biden one, I was like, what's going on here? Because I know Joe Biden to be one of the biggest buffoons in Washington. He always sticks his foot in his mouth. He's just a clown. I was disheartened, because I was still in the left-right polarity, dichotomy. And I was like, oh man, we got to deal with Biden. And then I said to myself, maybe there's something I'm missing. If my fellow Americans want Joe Biden, I'll take another look. And that lasted about 2 weeks. And I was like, no, these people are crazy. Again, I'm partially joking, but partially not. I'm like, what are they seeing in this guy? But then in 2024, I just got off the train altogether, or the plantation altogether, so to speak, and didn't vote for any of them. They say, okay, you say, I voted for him, but I'm pissed at him. He either got paid and teased using the list while he got paid, or he's on it. I know a lot of people that are pissed at him, I got played too. Your statement is my statement. I feel the same way. I feel I got played. The question is, we're all going to get off the crazy train at one point or another. Different people get off at different times. I agree with you. I got played, and then I stopped playing the game. What I did is I cashed out. I'm like, I'm not playing your game anymore. And I don't watch politics. I don't listen to them tangentially, because I talk about these things, because all of the things that are happening in our world are directly relatable to our experience here on Earth. And these guys are some super bad actors, and they need to be exposed, which is, what many people are doing. Let's see. So yes, but Trump is hella worse. I think they're all bad. a lot of people think he's the you know what, the anti you know what. I tend to lean in the direction that he's an evil guy. Again, my own thinking and research has led me there. It's establishment versus the citizens. You're right. Amen to that. It is establishment versus the citizens. That's what I think it is. It's the 1% versus the 99%. The biggest problem I see facing humanity is the consolidation of wealth, power, and control in the hands of a very few, right? And I just look at trends, because a lot of people, I still am friends with people that believe in Trump. I haven't talked to them in a while because I think after no Epstein, no JFK, no or bombing of Iran, I think, and the tariff thing. My understanding is if you put tariffs on other countries, that's going to be passed on to the American people and further financially destroy American people's buying power. That's my understanding. That's another form of financial warfare, subtle as it may be. Now, I realize that those were paused or put in whatever, but still dangerous and sketchy. But back to my point, my friends who are Trump supporters, they say things like, well, we just have to be patient. It's happening. I can't be patient anymore because I look at the trend. See, for decades, wealth has been stripped out of and or stolen from not only third world countries that can't defend themselves. CIA goes in, destabilizes, puts puppet governments in, sets up the ability for corporations to go in there and then move the money back to U.S. and England, Western worlds. That's bullshit. And then in the United States, the wealth is being transferred from the people via wars, via pandemics. Right? What did they say? It was like, I don't even know how they calculate this, but 41 billion transferred. Wealth transfer from the middle and lower class into the hands of it's bullshit. It's straight up bullshit. That's why I look at the trend. When the trend starts going backwards, I'll be like, okay, we can but until that time, you don't just, believe a lie. You have to see evidence of the situation. Okay. Yeah. Biden could never have leaked the Epstein list if Trump's name was on it. LOL. Let's see if Trump leaked the Epstein list. Well, I've heard people talk about that. I think they're all on it. I think it's bipartisan on the list. Socialism is what Dems need to study. The whole country would be red. Okay. Felon Anna RAPIST. What did you expect? Well, again. Oh, yeah, let me talk about that. The felon thing. First of all, when they were this was when I was kind of on the fence about Trump at this point, but the felon thing, all of them in Washington are felons. They're all felons. They've all committed in crimes against humanity. To single him out for whatever he did, that's when I started to realize, and also following different people that helped me realize, people that are into symbolism and the occult and the whole world a stage kind of a thing, keeping us in this matrix, so to speak. That's when I started to realize it was bullshit. And I was realized, they're trying to garner support for him. They're trying to play on the emotions, in which they got a lot of people. But yeah, the felon thing, they're all criminals back there from my perspective. They've all done way, way worse. Are you saying you voted him in and walked away? I did not vote for him in 2024. I voted for him 2 years, the two prior, 2016 and 2020. I didn't vote for either president in 2024 because I finally woke up. I'm a slow learner. This is the, I eventually get the message. I didn't vote for either of the clowns because I finally realized we're being played hard. All hail King Trump. Okay. Not happy with this, but I'm still glad I voted for him. He is not well, I hope so. I always say, I hope it all works out for us. Again, I've divested my time and energy and focusing on other things. I hope it all works out. Who is the felon? Okay. They released the JFK files. Did they? Did they? I I didn't see that. I hope so. James E. Files. Okay, I don't know who James E. is. Just grabbed my tinfoil hat and some white cheddar popcorn for this nonsense. Amen. Yeah, you gotta entertain yourself with nonsense, you know. In an empire of lies, truth is treason. That's what I always say. He's Ron Paul said it. I like to reuse it myself. He's only been president for 6 months. Yeah, and already he's defaulted on a lot of his stuff. I don't know why you would overpromise and underdeliver. Why not just not promise at all? The American people, Donald Duck could have won that election. Let's be real. Although now that's not true. You know, there were a lot of people still for Kamala and still voting for the left. Even, you know, I can't wrap my mind around that, but the trauma that the machine, the media machine did, you know, the powers that be did to the people, they put people in it. You know, you want to manipulate people. The CIA uses trauma to manipulate people. That's how you control minds. Trauma-based manipulation. It's classic tactic. The USA. Okay, Trump is pathetic. I think he's a master of deception, to be quite honest. His name is very fitting. Thanks for the claps. Appreciate it. What deception? Well, the deception of I'm here to make America great again. I'm here to make America healthy again with the help of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who I was a huge fan for. I'm now skeptical of that guy. Did you see him the other day? He said, we got to look to wearables, biotech, right? You got to get biotech on people. That's sketchy because that's a hop, skip, and a jump away from, you know, injectables, or swallowables. Let's swallow this pill. You know how they say they got the pill you can swallow that pings on another platform and say, yeah, they took their medication and now I'm sketchy of them. I don't trust them. How can you trust government after, you know, lies about Iraq, hundreds of millions of people unalived, including the 500,000 children via sanctions and destabilization of the infrastructure of the country, lied about Libya, destroy the eighth wonder of the world, involved in the 2008 collapse with Larry Fink and the housing market. I mean, they destroy lives. I don't know what else needs to be talked about, but some people still don't see it. The good news is many do on our waking up. This person has gone insane from TDS. I'm assuming you're meaning me, and that's your opinion. Trump is doing exactly what we voted him to do. Okay. You want to expand upon that? Maybe you're talking about ICE and the deportation of Americans. I see, our illegal immigrants. I see that as a Hegelian dialectic, problem, reaction, solution. Government creates a problem by allowing undocumented people to come into our borders. Then Americans freak out because either some of those people create problems, or we also have to keep in mind of this, covert action agencies create the problem, because for government to do their Hegelian dialectic, they got to stoke the fire, problem, reaction, solution. Bad things happen, and they point the finger at illegal immigrants. Remember all those news stories that came up of the tragedies? And then they say, okay, hey, we got a solution. He's already floated the solution. In 2016, he said, we need a biometric entry-exit visa tracking system. On the land, on the sea, and in the air, it'll be the best thing since sliced bread. Well, you know what that is? That's a digital prison for everyone, because you don't just track the people that are quote unquote bad guys and bad girls, whatever that means. You track everybody. See, Hegelian dialectic, the solution is they want total control. And so then they want to do the biometric. They already want to do digital central bank digital currencies. They already want to do digital surveillance. They already want to. We know they want this, but they have to be sneaky and sly about it, because Americans aren't willingly going to go, yeah, we'll let you have more control over us, because they know it's all shifty. Sniff and blow administration. They're all on it. I'm assuming you mean they're all in on it. I agree. Trump is amazing. Well, I hope it all works out. Thank you for the bingo. Nobody cares what you think. Okay. Let's see. Idaho Life, Trump defecation syndrome. Yeah, you've got it bad. Okay. Release the list, Donnie. Yeah, release the list. He's not a felon. He was found liable. Liable is not criminal. Okay. Bunker bust Palestine. Yikes. Free Palestine. Free humanity from the, like Ken O'Keefe says, what's happening in Palestine is it's coming to everyone. It's coming to America. Or what's happening in Gaza is coming to America. It's already in America. The thing of it is for Americans is you don't drop bombs on America. America drops bombs on you. You don't drop bombs on America. If you want to destroy America, you use silent weapons for quiet wars. That's how you destroy America. You put the weapons you weaponize food, you weaponize water, you weaponize air, you weaponize people against themselves via the entertainment industry and the music industry and the media and newspapers and books. You don't drop bombs on America, but make no mistake about it, we are still at war. War is being waged upon us and has heavy since late 40s. If you know, you know what happened since after World War I, heavy. And probably to a degree before World War World War II. Since World War II, since we won the war, World War II, we've been waged war upon. I don't know when the FDA started. I don't know when the EPA started, but that's the red flag when the FDA came out and said, we've got the medicine for you. If I hadn't studied food and nutrition for 20 years and known them to be completely full of shit, seed oils, corn syrup, chemical flavor enhancers, aka cytotoxins, food dyes, sugar, preservatives, you go on and on. That's the food war we're in. So, all those ways Americans have been waged war on, but it's a silent war. It's a subtle war, spiritual warfare, physical, mental, and also now heavy financial, right? It's so weird to watch the government doing financial warfare on other countries by sanctions and all the other things. And this is my prayer to Americans, is that they are able to see truly and realize what is going on, that we are under financial warfare as well by our own, our own GOV, right? Inflation is an invisible tax. It happens near the end of a currency when they've burned out the currency so much. Now they have to print so much currency to keep it. It's a spin up game. It'll eventually collapse. There's no other way. But anyway, there's my rant. Let me see where I was at here. Thanks for all your comments, by the way. I appreciate you guys. Bunker bust Palestine. This dude is a joke. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I could be wrong about all this. I could be wrong. But, I got to say what I see and what I think, because many people agree with me. As difficult as you may find that to believe, there are people that do agree with me. Trump is king, felon, and Mos Def. You are sure. Yes, you sure are slow. We can tell. Yeah, I like to tell people I am slow. I am slow. You nailed it. Let's see. Princess Buttercup wears Velcro shoes. Okay. He has not been convicted and he's not a felon. Both candidates were junk. They were. What kind of government do you want then? Just found you. Am curious as to what you want for the United States. Oh, that's a deep question. I like limited government. I believe what G. Edward Griffin talks about is, if you look at history, the times that people prosper are when government is small and or ineffective, because then the people have freedom. Limited government, as small as possible, as little tentacles into the people's business as possible, and as little influence into the people's business as possible, because what that allows is people to live from an inspired place and create from an inspired place. Oh, I like to bake pies. I'm going to be a pie baker. Oh, I like to, build buildings. I'm going to be a builder, right? They're inspired in their own way. That's one of the reasons why I started speaking up in 2022. late 2021, 2022, is I saw government and media had hijacked the attention of Americans, many Americans. And you saw it too. People were were having to either being fired from their jobs and or leaving willfully to fight the fight of tyranny and oppression and totalitarianism, this mass formation psychosis that was upon us. And I saw, oh shit, people's attention has been hijacked. We've got a code red, all hands on deck type of situation. Because if nurses aren't nursing and doctors aren't doctoring and restaurants aren't serving food and everyone's not participating in the role that they want to play to make a society thrive, we got a major problem. If they're looking to, this is why Donald Trump ends all of his a lot of his texts with "thank you for your attention to this matter." That's some straight up bullshit, right? Don't give it. I recommend people don't give attention to people. I don't tell people what they should and shouldn't do, but I don't give them my attention because it's not beneficial for me or my fellow human beings. But that's the kind of government I want: small and or ineffective. Let the people free and let them do their thing. Because the other reason you don't want big government is because now we just have one big corrupt entity. Now it's like, if you got the money. So Bill Gates says, "Hey, I want to meet with you, Donald Trump. Here's what did he give him? $1 million for his, campaign or whatever." If you got the money, you get the ear of the people in charge, and it just becomes a big shit show. Not happy with this regime. Me either. Scary times. They are scary times. It's scariest most for people that are awake and aware. For people that aren't, they're still kind of in the matrix, so to speak. Sometimes I wish I could go back to sleep. To be honest. Do you know what liable is? Okay. Did you buy the dip back in April? I did. Was that when the tariffs? No, I didn't buy the dip. No, I'm on kind of a different path now since I woke up to what's happening, Let's see. This made him the first former current president to be. It did. Yes, that they like to tout that. Nothing bad about the administration. Explain what's wrong. Nothing bad about this administration. Explain what's wrong. What's wrong is it just appears to be business as usual, right? It appears to be supporting the military-industrial complex, not giving. And I never expect anything from the government. I didn't expect the JFK things. I didn't expect the Epstein list because if they haven't given the JFK list since it happened, they're never going to do it. They're never going to do it. It's a dangling carrot. It's a perpetual dangling carrot. And they keep the attention hijacked. If Trump was really for the people, he would get up there and at his podium and he'd say, "Look, stop watching the news. Stop watching me. Stop watching the news. Go and live your life. Be a good person. Do the work you came here to do. Help other people." And that's my last speech for 4 years. They capture attention and they hijack consciousness, and it's crazy. I wager plenty of them will remain cult-washed idiots. Some of the remaining will forget, and the other may actually wake up. Yeah, I just pray every day that people wake up, and they are waking up. But as as I know, waking up is a painful experience when you realize what this world is and who runs this world, and it's a crazy experience. For me, it was very freaking traumatic. This happened, heavy, I think maybe 2022 or 3. And then it becomes layers upon layers. I think I finally, I believe we're in a fallen world. I was not raised Christian. I attended a little church when I was a kid, but I was not in that vein. And when I finally saw what appears to me to be going on in this world, I was like, son of a bitch, those Christians were right. And I was just like blown away, because I saw pure evil. I saw pure evil during COVID times. And I was like, criminy, how did I miss this shit? This is the first time you ever paid attention to politics. Most people tuning for president promise all kinds of shit and do zero. Again, I'm not sure what the main goal of your point of your. I don't think paying attention to politics is doing anything, to be quite honest. Again, I'm a person who thinks boots on the grounds, doing things in your local community. Voting for someone in Washington, I don't know if that's actually doing things. You can't possibly support Trump anymore after this, right? No, I don't. Like I said, I didn't vote for either one of them because I woke up and realized in 2024 what was going down. Actually, probably 2023, but probably, well before the election. I pulled out well before that. Again, I just got off the crazy train. Everyone gets off at their own time. Overpromise to win only. God bless Trump. I hope it all works out for us. Unemployment is at 4.1. Defaulted. He has delivered more than any president you have ever witnessed. I disagree. I think he's subtly undermining us again. And let me talk to you this, and let me know what you guys think about this. I think, back to my statement, the biggest problem facing humanity and America is the consolidation of wealth, power, and control in the hands of a very few. The thing that everyone in Washington should be talking about is getting the money changers and the people who control the financial system in the world and America, is getting them off the scene. And of course, they can't do that because they're working for those people. When the hammer drops, and by the hammer, I mean the collapse happens, the dollar collapses and or total financial collapse, it's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be an absolute nightmare. And they're not talking about it. They just keep kicking the can down the road and talking about all of the dumber little things, which is, we've got to get, and again, I'm not saying these aren't problems. Let me be clear. We've got to get all the illegal immigrants out of the country, but it's small change compared to a total financial collapse that they know about. They know it's happening. Watch The Great Taking by David Rogers Webb. They're all in on it. Total financial collapse. They're also talking, when you're talking about wars and all these things, it's all just small potatoes. The next financial collapse, my feeling is it's going to make the Great Depression look like a walk in Candyland. That's the thing. And so he's not a good leader if you're not talking about the biggest problem facing Americans in the world. You are not a good leader, in my opinion. So you're saying the last administration was not beautiful. It was the other wing of the bird. The last administration, if I had to sum it up, would be this. It was their entire job was to traumatize the right and conservative right in such a way, and also the people in the middle that are sensible people that may not be conservative Christians. The last administration and the media entire job was to traumatize and prime people mentally to make them run to Donald Trump. That's how I view the last administration. They play this good cop, bad cop. It is one big good cop, bad cop routine. That's how I see it. The bad cop is so bad that he makes people run to the good cop. That's how I look at it. One big, again, Hegelian dialectic and good cop, bad cop routine. Sorry, I've been crushing the stocks. Trump's number one. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. What are your thoughts about the Great Taking and about the potential collapse of the dollar? I'd love to hear what your thoughts are there. How long will the ride go? I support him. We'll never support a pathetic liberal. Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. I just don't understand liberals. I don't understand, because I just look at it as a lot of the things that get pushed again is division, right? When you're, are you gay or you're straight? It's a way to divide. Are you black or white? It's a way to divide. I mean, it's the division that keeps us, divided we fall, united we stand. And again, I don't blame liberals. I blame the machine, but I just don't believe in it anymore because I'm about uniting humanity, right? I don't want to fight amongst ourselves because the fight is not against ourselves. It's against that small group of people. I'm surprised there's not a giant butt plug on that shelf. Hey, maybe I'll add one. You never know. You never know. Trump is going to end up on Mount Rushmore. He might put his own face up there just because Trump are calm. Don't care who's in office. The president can't deport or ban tacos. Put Trump on Rushmore. Trump is never wrong. He thinks so. He thinks so. I just question everything. At this point, I question everything. Like I said, COVID woke me up. I've been skeptical since his Guam participation. I don't know about his Guam participation. You trusted that vaccine is bet. You must be new to the chat or new to the stream. I covered that earlier. Wait, you only just figured out the guy with a brain worm is an idiot. I don't know. Only, like I said, well before the election, but yeah, no, I fell for the bullshit. See, here's the other thing. Mark Twain said it. It's easier to fool someone than convince him he's been fooled. I have no problem saying I was fooled. I have no problem. I did. I bought the bullshit from Trump. I did. In 2016 and in 2020. I make mistakes all the time. But I'll tell you one thing. I learn from those mistakes. That's my intention. Sometimes it takes me a while. Like I said, I'm a slow learner. But I do learn. Serenity now. Yeah, right. 144,000 are being prepared as we speak. I tend to agree with you. The eighth wonder of the world. The eighth wonder of the world is the aqueduct system that Muammar Gaddafi engineered and built over the course of many decades to bring water to the Libyan people. There are no natural rivers in Libya. I didn't know this, but there are no natural rivers in Libya. But in one part of Libya, under the sand, there's a huge aqueduct. There's a huge, what would you call it? Water store. Like it's a huge watershed. And he engineered this aqueduct system to bring water to where the people were living in Libya. It's these huge things. They're like, could be 20 feet round, culverts buried under the ground. And when the U.S. went in and brought that freedom and democracy to the Libyan people, which again, complete and total bullshit, they destroyed a portion, or I don't know how much they destroyed, but they destroyed a portion of that aqueduct system with plutonium rounds. What kind of a sinister son of a gun does something like that? What is up? What is up? Anyway, you can look into that. It's wild to see. And again, I want to be clear. I'm not saying Gaddafi or Saddam Hussein were saints. I know Saddam Hussein did some bad things, but it sounds like to me he was stoked or poked or prodded to do some of those things, at least some of them, by the United States. Talking about the war with Iran and talking about unaliving, I think it was 800 people right after he took power, that the U.S. prompted him to do that. So you got to ask yourself, who's the bad guy? Just don't show samples, free samples. What number booster are you on? Again, you must have missed the first part of the conversation. Iraq, we look like Iraq. Maybe. Who is your solution as a candidate? I don't think any, as long as the puppet masters are controlling everything, there is no solution. There's no solution because the gatekeepers won't allow it. I just don't see anyone coming in now that could help us and save us. The solution is to turn away and withdraw all of our energy from the gov. They're super bad news. By the way, Israeli settlers burned ancient churches in the West Bank last week. I don't doubt it. It's a mess over there. And again, another problem created by governments back in, via the Balfour Declaration. And they don't solve problems, they create them. What a mess over there. Wait till those big, beautiful consequences hit. Yep. More bad news with the big, beautiful bill coming. I don't know who Katie Johnson is. Justice for Katie Johnson. You don't trust them yet. How many times did you get? Okay, again, you must be new here. We've already covered that. And why? I see that a lot. Again, more division. More division. And you're playing the part they want you to play. And I play it too. Sometimes I play it too when I'm not fully awake and aware of what's going on. But do you see how that divides us? Right? You might as well call me gay or a liberal or you pick. So that's your favorite one. You could have picked any of the number of psyops that we are currently. Remember, it's layered upon psyops. You pick that one. That's fair. Hey, I've played them too. Like I said, I'm human. Yes, government was horrible before Trump. Is still and little, but it's getting better. I hope it's getting better. I remain skeptical. Weren't you complaining about the tariffs 2 months ago, saying what a disaster they were? Are you going to admit you're wrong about that? I don't know if I was complaining about tariffs. Maybe. No, I still think tariffs, I believe tariffs are a disaster. I think it's a tax on the working class. And I also believe, based on my research, again, I could be wrong, that financial sanctions and tariffs type stuff, trade wars, tariff wars, were what led up to real war in World War II. Yes, the Democrats, I vote against tampons. Why do people not just back Trump instead of trying to bring him down all the time? Because people question people question people, right? If you give someone just full faith and credit that they're going to do well, that's a dangerous situation. Question authority relentlessly and ruthlessly. Tax breaks for regular people expire while tax breaks for rich are extended. Yeah. Who does he work for, right? Legal immigration, cheap labor, maximum profit. Yes. And I've heard that's why he stopped the raids, and it's total BS. So here's what Trump has to do. He has to appease his base by showing them he's doing what he said he was going to do, but he also has to appease corporations and his donors by giving them the cheap labor. Dude, you don't understand Hegel. Okay, enlighten me. I wish Costa exactly what I said he's doing, what we voted him to do. Okay. Orange man bad. The things I see that you say Trump is doing have been going way before Trump put money to anything. Yeah, I would agree with that, because I just think the machine's going to go forward. Yeah, they have been going. You're giving free money to Israel, which has free health. Yeah, we do. It's wild. Drickbad. All these big words, but can't understand the word illegal. Okay. Yeah, like I said, I'm a human being. I make mistakes all the time. I have limited understanding about a lot of things. The topic is Trump's the Trump deceptions is collapsing. People are waking up. They're starting to realize, even hardcore Trump supporters, again, no JFK files, no Epstein, bombing Iran, which all those things just as the status quo moving forward, and not talking about the biggest problem facing America and the world, which is financial collapse that may or may not be coming down the road. If we as a country can't get off Trump, a priest said, we are never going to recover. We got to get off all the politicians. They're just not helping us. They don't work for us. It's a racial issue, minority having gained more power. Okay. Please state incoming. Regardless, sadly, I agree with you. When I look at how much money is earmarked for ICE and what's the other agency? Apparently, it's a lot. It's a lot. And then when you tie that into what he said in 2016, we need a biometric entry exit visa tracking system. It's sketchy. And let's also throw in this. So in the beginning first term, he gives billions of dollars to the pharmaceutical industry. Objectively, the most corrupt industry on the planet based on fines from the Department of Justice. In this term, the cherry on top of the cake, which I didn't have on my list, which I should have, is he's given millions of dollars to Palantir and the surveillance state, and they're building that big thing down in the big data center in Texas. And he had Larry Ellison and I think Sam Altman up on stage talking about their mRNA AI. I can't understand what the F is going on. Like all this shit seems like a dystopian sci-fi nightmare, and it's just wild, you know? That's the big one, right? Every time he's basically building the digital prison or the whatever the prison around us, and some people still don't see it. Again, I don't fault them for that because I'm slow. I'm a slow learner too, but I do learn. Release the list. Amen to that. You're delusional. Perhaps I am. Perhaps I am. Okay, free Palestine. A citizen of the U.S. is tracked entering and exiting. Yeah, they are. They are. I think that when they want to take it to the next level, they want to make it more. They want to make it better. They want to improve it. And I already don't like traveling. I don't like flying. I feel like a freaking criminal, and I'm not a criminal. And meanwhile, the real criminals of our world are just free to do whatever they want, right? Fly to all sorts of different places, do all sorts of things. It's sketchy. We have a new SS rounding people up. Good thing those J6ers got jobs. It's all sketchy to me. Free Palestine from Hamas, God protect Israel. Again, it's wild to see what Israel is doing, and wild and difficult to watch what they're doing to the people of Palestine, and have been doing for 76 years since the Nakba. America, we give all the money to ICE. Don't expect America to land on the moon. America is self-destructing at the moment. It does appear that way. It does appear that way. Dude, America was settler colonialism. What happened in Palestine? Again, amen to that. I do not fault. That is 100% true. That is not lost on me. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, blood on my hands too. Right here. Right here. Thank you. Trump told you he was a snake then, but you MAGA. Yeah, he, again, I wasn't awake and aware to what was going down. Right to bear arms, babe. Hunt your food and use the running creek bed for fresh water. You don't you too modernized bald guy. You're too modernized bald guy. Yeah, we got to return to the ways, so you're right about that. Proud of my American forefathers. I question them. I agree, Bo. But what can be done? Well, I put it all. I'll go through a couple of them here, but in the Great Awakening Guide, which was a contribution to consolidating all the best documentaries, movies, articles that I've discovered on my journey. Because again, I'm a seeker of knowledge and information. I want to know the truth. And I put that into a guide called the Great Awakening Guide. It's at greatawakeningguide.com. And in there, because of questions like this that I would get on my social media, anywhere at GMarkPhillips, people always say, okay, we know what's up. What do we do? What do we do? I put it all in there. I don't have it with me, but I've got them in my head. Radical self-reliance, divesting from as many systems as possible, including education system, healthcare system, especially financial system, studying the past. And again, these are ideas from the Great Awakening Guide at greatawakeningguide.com. Studying the past. I no longer try to think what's going to happen in the future. I just look at what's happened in the past. What happened in 2008, what happened in early 2000s collapse, what happened in the Great Depression, and all of the insider trading that went on there, and they all got out and left Americans holding the bag, and everything collapsed. The same thing happens all the time. They only have one game plan. Right. And they just run that game over and over and over again. It's a con. They run the con over and over and over again. So I look at the past. So study the history, build parallel economies. Back to the comment, like the person said, learn how to live off grid, whether you're in a city or not in a city. Build parallel economies. Build relationships with your friends and neighbors, right? Small scale community type things. That's going to be a win. be as self-reliant as possible, food, water, shelter, transportation. Basically, all you got to do is think, okay, what would happen? What would I do? What do I need? Tools, gear, knowledge, skills. What do I need if shit were to go real south real quick? And just start making a list, right? Basically, it's a prepper mentality, right? It's a prepper and a survival mentality. Let me try to think of some of the other ones. Knowledge is another key factor of what we can do. There's a lot of things that could be done. Again, there's like 41 ways to be prepared in the case of whatever's going to happen. Because I do think that things are going to happen. And also, one of the other things is share information and knowledge like this. Many people, I've benefited greatly from listening to people who are way smarter than me talk about things that are going on. That's the only way I can learn, is by learning from other people. Creating a digital media company. See, they've got us where we're at because of media manipulation. Plato said, those who tell stories rule the society. They've got us where we're at right now because of Hollywood, books, newspapers, magazines, music, politicians, celebrities, influencing us in a negative way. This is back to the silent weapons for quiet wars kind of a thing. Again, since World War II, we've been heavily attacked silently using these quiet weapons via all those channels. And the way to win that war is to get in the media game, to get in the game of changing hearts and minds. If those who tell stories rule the society, then start telling stories for good, right? Start telling stories that are truth. If lies and deception abound, start telling truth and realization. And then you fight them on their own battlefield, because we all know the battlefield is ultimately in the mind, right? If they can capture the minds and the hearts, they win the war. But if we can recapture the hearts and the minds, we'll win the war. Like that's what I'm passionate about. But thanks for your question. Bruce Willis, yeah, I get that on occasion. Pathetic. These rich people make me absolutely sick. See, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, but the way I look at it is the corrupt people, because there are rich good people and there are rich bad people. There are poor good people, poor bad people. Just like there are good JEWISH and there are bad JEWISH, right? So I know what you're saying, but I like to make the distinction myself so that I can keep it compartmentalized. Sid, you're a joke. He's coming for your guns next. Probably. They want it. They want the total control. We got Big Brother en route and big police state. Yep, it does appear that way. It does appear that way. Bernie said it best: conquer and divide, then destroy education. Yeah, they do want to conquer and divide. Yes, the food industry is bad. That needs change. It does. But and to your point, what I feel is happening and has to happen is we need to divest. See, I now realize that even RFK is not going to help us in the food industry. Remember when he was on the plane with the picture of McDonald's? I'm like, oh, this is weird. And then they just, in government is not there to help the people. That's my understanding now. Again, I could be wrong. So the people have to divest. The people have to educate themselves about what's in the food and just don't eat the bad things. And then those companies that are making the bad products won't be in business any longer. We vote with our money, we vote with our time, and we vote with our attention. This is why I was making people aware. Donald Trump saying thank you for your attention to this matter in his tweets is a hypnotic subliminal message of thank you for continuing to pay attention to me. I don't pay attention to him anymore. I don't pay attention to any media because I know what it is now. But to your point, we need to change. Our world and our government is a reflection of us. We've let ourselves get lazy mentally, myself included. Myself included. It's so much easier to farm it out and say, "Oh, my government's got this," which is what I did for many years. I haven't paid much attention for 25 years. That's my bad. I didn't know what was going on in the Middle East. I didn't know, I just bought the bullshit because I was too busy living my best life being a selfish American, partaking in bread and circuses. That's on me. That's on me. That's why I talk about this stuff so passionately now, is because part of the debauchery and devilish behaviors that went on in Iraq and Libya is my fault. It's my fault. I wasn't awake and aware to it. America, welcome to the Hunger Games. Amen to that. Amen to that. They tell us what they're going to do in movies well before they do it. You're right. Thank you. Which Democrats are all doing. I see, again, I don't think they're doing it. I think the puppet masters behind the string are doing it. It's not that you can't feed the poor. It's just that we can't satisfy the rich. We can't satisfy the evil people that are running the world. They're not right in the head. They want more and more and more. And as David Rogers Webb talks about in The Great Taking, what they're doing will ultimately even destroy them, but they can't see it because they're so power hungry. They're so bent. They're so out of alignment with humanity and reality that they will do anything. And many people have talked about this. They will destroy themselves, and they don't even, well, one, they'll do it if they're cornered. They're like a rat. And if you corner a rat, the rat's going to go ballistic, and they might go ballistic. This is what people talk about with the Samson option, right? I mean, you corner the rat, they might do some bad things. This guy is a Biden Kamala supporter. Nope. The whole world, enough with the U.S. government. Yeah, our government has caused bad things all over the world for a long time. And it sucks to say that in America because many Americans are still, buying the propaganda. And I can't fault them for that because it's a good propaganda machine. This chat is off by like 10 minutes. That's weird. I don't know why that would be. Mark, are you a loyal servant to our God, King Trump? I am not. I'm so high, I don't know how I got here. My name's Mark. I talk about events unfolding in our world in a way to share knowledge and information. Welcome to the chat. Liked and subbed, you speak truth. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. I feel it's really important right now. I think that's the way we're going to be saved, is by shining the light of awareness on lies and deception and speaking radical truth. And I appreciate you. Tariffs are terrible. Walmart closed many distribution centers. Yeah, I think it's all part of the orchestrated collapse that unfortunately we are living through. I was all good about MAGA. Now with the Epstein thing and so slow on the migrant problem, I voted for all illegal immigrants to be removed. It's all looking like a con. Yeah, you're one of the ones. You're in my tribe. We've all, I think we've all been conned, and many people are waking up and talking about it. So yeah, I feel you. Deception not yet finalized, but just started. I think it is happening. Yeah, you're right. If you allow yourself to be is weaponized, doesn't that make you a weapon? If you allow yourself to be weaponized, doesn't that make you a weapon? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Maybe you're referring to what I was talking about when the ultimate form of warfare is when you weaponize a person against themselves and others, right? When you put mind control in, when you use the system they've created, the propaganda machine and the mind control machine, the media machine, to weaponize them against themselves. And this is where you get people that are like, oh, I think I'm a different gender. I'm going to, go ahead and transition. Or a person on the right points the finger at the person on the left and said, you're the problem. The media machine has told me that you're the problem. And if you go away, if I make you go away, the problem gets solved. And the person on the left points the finger to the right saying, you're the problem. We need to get past that. Ants in a jar, they're shaking the jar, ants, the red ants and the black ants are fighting, and people are starting to see and question, hey, who's shaking the jar? Well, some bad people are shaking the jar. I don't support either side. I don't either. Amen to your comment. I have a master's degree in economics, bro. Unlike you, hillbilly, the orange man worshiper. Okay. Give us some goods. Help us understand what you know, my friend. I'm calling you a tool. Yeah, I can be a tool. Like I said, I'm a human being. I make mistakes all the time. I do agree, and thank you for saying that. It looks like you're talking to someone else there. Mango in chief, he's a liar. At least you're not cussing and calling people names. I don't do that because I don't think that's beneficial. Again, United we stand, divided we fall. It's not us against each other. It's us against the people that are pulling the strings. You will be proved wrong, but you can't accept it. Okay. You're too optimistic to think that everyone are good people and just doesn't understand what's going on. Fair, that's fair. I do tend to go toward the optimistic side. I find that's a better. I like that place better because believe me, I've been in the pessimistic side, and that gets old real fast. But so yeah, that's a fair statement. I think we can all agree. God King Trump will save us from our sins, huh? Trump is on the Epstein list. Yeah, he possibly is. People have reported the end of Trump many times. Well, I think, yeah, they have, that's fair. At this point, I'm convinced there's 100% something in our water. People can't be. I'm convinced that too. You couldn't pay me enough to drink tap water. I mean, or watch the news, or eat the foods, the processed foods. In the 70s, I forget what the specific case was or whatever, but have you seen this clip? In the 70s, they had the CIA. I don't know if he was a director at the time, and they said, does the CIA have anyone in media? And he's like, yeah, we do. And then they asked him a further question. They said, can you please expand upon that? And he goes, let's talk about this offline. That's all I need to know to never watch the media again. I treat it like the plague, to be honest. I treat the media like I treat tap water. I don't go anywhere near it because if, and also, again, the other thing that I urge Americans to do is just look into what the CIA has done to Americans through their little medical experiments and their, not to mention the covert action in 80 to 100 countries all around the world, disrupting free will and free choice to free governance in those countries. But what they've done to human beings, experimenting on, they're always looking to get they're sick. They're sick. I just tell people, look into it. No more gay pushing. Yeah, again, I think that was part of the psyop to antagonize the right, to keep us fighting against one another. They implant these ideas in, and then remember, all of these, BlackRock and Larry Fink come to mind. They tell CEOs, you will push the LGBTQ agenda, or you won't work there anymore. And by the way, you won't work at any corporation anymore. It's all, again, Ken O'Keefe told us, financial is the head of the snake. You got the money. You can tell people, hey, do you want to do this and get rich, or do you want to not do it and be poor for your whole life? Then they manipulate people. I think they manipulate a lot of corporations to do things, again, pushing the narrative and antagonizing and causing these problems in order to stoke the fire that divides us, because they want us to destroy ourselves ultimately. Here's another white dude for Harris. Nope. I am slow too, bro, and I rock the world. Trust me. Hey, man, to the slow people. Slow and methodical. That's how I look at it. He wants Biden and Harris. Nope. If none of you like it here, you can always leave. The problem with that is, if we don't change what we are in the United States and we don't get power out of the hands of these evil, corrupt people, the whole world, where are you going to go? Where are you going to go if your country is evil, and if your country is controlled by people in the country aren't evil? Let me be very clear. If your country is controlled by evil people, where are you going to go that's a safe place in the world? Answer me that. That we have to change. We have to change the way. We've got to get power back in the hands of good people. We've got to get corruption out of our government. Trump not going to last full term. I don't know about that. Make the government as small as possible. Amen to that. Amen to that. Small and weak and powerless, and let the people do their thing. That's what made America into what it is. our country was originally set up, with all the power to the states and little to no to the federal government. And it's completely backwards now. And that's why we're imploding. And that's also why we had the biggest, how we took the 5,000-year leap, so to speak, based on that title of that book. The people were set free to innovate and engineer and build things and do things. We're not in that place now. Too much attention is to the federal government. The inflation came from corporations being able to raise prices just because they could, and big items created more inflation because they overpaid for houses and cars. Okay, I think that could be some of it. I tend to lean toward what Milton Friedman talks about, the cause of inflation, and he said only that inflation is caused by Washington, and by that I mean by the Federal Reserve, which Washington Congress gave them the power to manage our money back in 1913. Milton Friedman said Washington is the only one who can cause inflation because they're the only ones that can print money. I'm not saying that corporations didn't pile on and take advantage of the situation, but I tend to believe what he talks about. Why doesn't Trump relieve the files? He might be on the list. What do you think that President Trump is trying to do? I think he's working for the bad actors in our world. I think he's trying to, build the digital biometric entry exit visa tracking system. I think he wants us all tracked and jacked and, whatever else. I don't think he's working for us. I think he's working for the people that control the world, and control the financial system. So I guess in short, I would say he's trying to do bad things to us. I think I'll stay and participate in the American system. Me too for the time being. And again, I hope it gets better. I hope we can turn it around because, again, not only for our own selves, future selves, and children of the America, but also maybe even more so for all the people we've damaged and harmed around the world in the name of freedom and democracy, which is really just enriching the military-industrial complex. It's super crazy. If you grew a mustache, you would look just like a Walter White. I've got that. I've heard that before. No more restrictions like we have. Ed, they took our jobs. Long live King Jesus. All right. I think I'm going to wrap it up there. I really appreciate all the comments here. Thank you so much for sharing. Too many more down here to get to. I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for all of your comments. Geez, you guys went crazy. That's a lot. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. Okay, well, let me just say this. The other day, I'll leave you with this thought here, and let me know. I probably won't have time to jump into comments on this, but the other day, someone said something interesting, and I want to throw it out there. She said in a comment on my social media at @GMarkPhillips, she said, I think one of the reasons the Elon Trump, feud could be going down is that maybe Trump's cover is blown. Maybe his deception is over. That's kind of what prompted me to make this live stream today. And she thinks that Elon could be trying to do his new American party, which I don't know much about. Again, I don't have the time or attention to pay as much attention to every little move they make. So I appreciate people sharing it with me. She thinks that could be to if the Trump deception goes, because see, once the cover of these people are blown, they've got to spin up a new one, and they come on the scene with a new, so good cop, bad cop, over and over and over again. Then is Elon the new good cop? And is Trump now the bad cop? Because many people think he's a bad cop now. No JFK, no Epstein, Iran, pharmaceutical industry in the first term, surveillance state in the second term. I mean, all of these puppets move us more toward a totalitarian surveillance state. And then once their cover is completely blown, they got to bring a new puppet on the scene. Maybe Elon's the new puppet. It's a theory. I like that theory. I like that theory a lot. Thank you very much for hanging out. I appreciate you, and I will chat with you in the next one. Have an awesome day, and all the best health, wealth, and success. Bye-bye.